And thus we have made ourselves doubly culpable in an act of genocide. And almost in every case, with government and opposition in the Western countries concerned, in lockstep. A merger. There is a cross-party merger when it comes to the killing of Palestinians. In the United States, the Democrats and the Republicans rejected the ICJ finding of genocide and backed the complete cutting of the UNRWA funding. In the United Kingdom, exactly the same. But they did not count on one thing, that eventually the last straw breaks the camel's back. And there are real signs that that has begun to happen. Just in the last few days, in the last few hours, there is a revolt going on in Britain. Yes, centered on heavily Muslim-populated cities. In London, in the northwest of England, in parts of Yorkshire, a revolt, an uprising is going on. A peaceful uprising is going on. As people say, this far, no further. Up with this, we will not put. You have to change your tune now, or you can forget about us ever voting for you again. And I'm a witness to that in real time. I have come to the studio this evening from Rochdale, where there's a parliamentary by-election on the 29th of February, where Labour, which completely rules and dominates the town and has dirtied the town clock in so many ways over so many years, is now in a situation of electoral, political paralysis and fear, unable to go out, unable to canvass, for people slamming the door in their face and videotaping themselves doing so through their doorbell cameras. People saying that Labour should get off the Rochdale streets. People in Croydon, in London, cancelling campaign launches. People like David Lammy unable to go to scheduled events because of this uprising amongst people who've had enough of the sickening spectacle of massacre and genocide. Genocide is not an ordinary word. It's not an ordinary thing. It is beyond massacre. It is beyond war. It is the attempt, literally, to wipe out, to annihilate, to extirpate an entire population. And thanks to these, everyone has watched it happening in real time. It doesn't matter that it wasn't on the TV. It doesn't matter that it isn't in the newspapers, because fewer and fewer people expect the truth from the TV or from the newspapers. More and more people, and the younger they are, the more likely they are to get their news in real time on their telephone, on social media, and everyone has seen the slaughtered children. Everyone has seen the cesarean sections performed on women without anesthetic. They saw a baby born today from a dead mother by cesarean section. They've seen the dogs and the cats eating the corpses of Palestinian bodies that cannot be recovered from the rubble. Everyone has seen it. And surprise, surprise, the politicians who have supported it have suddenly woken up to the fact that many of their voters are disgusted, repulsed by it, and are no longer prepared to vote for the people who have facilitated the genocide. That's the truth of it. Now, if you want my honest opinion, you know my view of the lesser of two evils. I don't believe that Joe Biden was the lesser of two evils. And I certainly don't believe that Sir Keir Starmer, the so-called leader of the so-called Labour Party, is the lesser of two evils between him and the inky-fingered clerk of empire, Rishi Sunak. Keir Starmer's the more evil of the two, because, as Malcolm told us more than 50 years ago, almost 60 years ago, the wolf, we know what the wolf intends, but the fox looks like he's smiling as he comes towards you with exactly the same intent. Wolf in sheep's clothing. That's Keir Starmer. A wolf in sheep's clothing who's supposed to be a Queen's Counsel, a King's Counsel, a human rights lawyer who declared on national radio that Israel had the right to cut off the water and the electricity from 2.3 million people in Gaza, who refused to call for a ceasefire, who repeatedly stated that a ceasefire would benefit only Hamas, and he dragooned most of his members of parliament, most of his candidates. Check their Twitter feeds if you don't believe me into supporting him. 50 Labour MPs did call for an immediate ceasefire, and fair play to them. 7 of them had to resign from the Labour front bench in order to do so, because they would otherwise have been sacked. Nothing can change these facts. No amount of polling or initiatives or soft soap can change these facts. That Labour, Lammy, Starmer, Nandy, and the other gang of cutthroats at the head of the British Labour Party have facilitated this catastrophe and even supported the cut to the grant to UNRWA at the risk of starving 2.3 million people to death. Collective punishment, so brazen, so obvious that you wouldn't need to be a King's Counsel successfully to prosecute it in court. So I'm here to tell you that the Labour Party is crumbling in front of our eyes, and their members, their activists, their representatives know it. So look out for people jumping ship over these next days and weeks. Look out for a refinement of the language here and there, and don't forget the guilt of this so-called Labour Party in this great crime against the people of Palestine.